Excited to bring on a guest who we just had on a couple weeks ago because he was in town running a marathon, and we went out and got breakfast with him after the show.
He was on like the last 4 minutes of our last segment.
He was very briefly on the show at the end of the show, and then we went out and got a delicious breakfast afterwards, and he just dropped off. We lost him. Oh, okay.
Right.
All right. Well, we're off to a good start.
Day 64.
64.
Not a word.
I'm just going to go ahead and introduce him now, and then I can get it all out of the way. His name is Josh Peterson, and he is a host at 1620, I believe, The Zone.
The Zone.
The Zone.
The Fan. The Zone.
In Omaha, Nebraska, at Josh Peterson on Twitter, and you can go give him a follow there. He is in the parking lot of the College World Series. Are you in the parking lot right now, Josh?
I am in the parking lot. You got me right as I arrived here for another long day of baseball. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic.
Was that a good thing of saying another long day of baseball?
Yeah, was that positive or negative?
Yeah, let's hope my bosses aren't listening. No, it'll be a great day. It's very cloudy again, and we had a little rain delay theater a couple of nights ago because of some storms. The game didn't start until 10 o'clock local time. It didn't end until after 1 o'clock. My co-host on the afternoon show, he lives in Lincoln. He didn't get home until like 3 a.m. So we're all running on fumes a little bit on day 4 of the Men's College World Series.
Hey, Josh, I know there's been a lot of side stories with the dugout incident with an A&M fan, but I want to ask you, the first game I caught, I missed the UNC-Virginia game. That Tennessee-Florida State game, that's one of the best games I've ever watched in College World Series history. My Beavs have been in quite a few of these. That's one of the best games I've ever watched.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun, and it also reminded us of the old days when the CWS was at Rosenblatt. It's been here at this ballpark since 2011, and to see such a high-scoring game with an incredible comeback. And of course, it's great for us in Sports Talk Radio, right, because you got a controversial call, and there's been a whole lot of debate about did he swing, did he not swing. I'm stunned that Florida State was able to come back and play as well as they did yesterday. I thought for sure after they lost, when they thought, hey, this is our last strike, we're about to move on into the winner's bracket. That game was great. They responded awesome, and they move on, and they live another day while they beat Virginia yesterday.
Well, all right, let's go ahead and do the a good radio segment as we learn more about these programs. Can you power rank the douchiest fans that are there? So what do you got? Florida State, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, who am I? Florida, A&M, Kentucky, NC State. I think I got them all.
Yep.
Who are, like, give me the bottom 2 or 3. Some of them are done, yeah. Who are the bottom 3, like, douchiest fan bases that you've interacted with?
I mean, it's hard to argue that Texas A&M is at number 1, right?
Yeah.
Like, that place has always been a cult, and then you see what they do. A couple of days ago, I had some coworkers who were essentially sitting right there. It's right by, like, the media well where a lot of the photographers are. And so I got some of the not for radio stories about everything that's happening with those fans. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. So I would say that they are certainly number 1. Look, if I see anyone doing the chop anywhere, you're automatically going to get power ranked. I don't care. I don't care if Seminole Nation allows you to use their name and likeness. Like, that's totally fine. But a bunch of white people doing the chop, I'm never going to get behind that. So I would put those fans as 1 and 2. I honestly, thankfully, haven't dealt with any douchebags a whole lot myself. Okay. It's been a great time for me. But I mean, it's hard to imagine all the Kentucky people not having that weird basketball stuff in them and just starting to burn stuff at any notice.
Well, let's kind of pivot from that ranking to another ranking. Is Dirt the douchiest Big Ten rival to Nebraska Cornhusker fan because he ranted against Troy Dannon, who was ranting about NIL and how much Nebraska doesn't have?
How great was that? I like hopping on the message boards. I'm from message board culture when I was in high school and college, so sure. I still like to see what the fans are saying. And so I log on this last week and I see something about Oregon radio station. I'm like, is that our friends out at 1080 The Fan? I sure hope it is. And yeah, we call him on our show. We call him Mr. Yogurt around here, and some fans don't like that very much. So. Yeah, it's nice, guys. Oregon joining the conference. I don't think people had a whole lot of bad will towards them. But, yeah, you start saying anything negative about anyone in power at Nebraska, and you're going to immediately move to the top of the list of people that Husker fans are going to hate.
Well, let me ask you this, Josh. So, I saw that speech that Dannon gave, and I ran it a little bit. I had some fun with it. Mr. Yogurt is an unbelievable nickname, by the way, and that's officially now what we're going to call him because he's like kind of looks like a Mr. Potato Head,
he
kind of short,
like a
bald, stocky guy.
Yes,
he looks like a yogurt. How did they receive that? That was I whenever athletic directors are that open about NIL, It's really weird to me where you're like trying to build excuses, but then he was also trying to take credit for what they did at Washington when he had literally nothing to do with that. He was hired halfway through the season. He lost the head coach. He couldn't keep Kalen DeBoer, made the next hire, and then bolted. Like, he had zero to do with their undefeated season, but he was trying to, like, kind of take credit for that. How did fans receive his whole, we don't have enough in NIL, but we're going to be okay speech?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of confusion. I mean, because there was so much in that audio clip. And then, I don't know if you guys saw it, like what happened next was suddenly the YouTube video gets pulled or it gets moved to private mode on YouTube. And so suddenly after it kind of blows up and we talked about it on our show that day. By the time that we talked about it, though, it had disappeared. And so I would say it reminds me of so many athletic directors or head coaches around here where there is a large portion of the fan base that is just going to follow the company line, right? Like, they're going to fall in line and they're going to be behind it, and anyone who speaks ill is against us, and we got to rally the troops. But there is this group that is skeptical, I guess, about things right now, which makes sense, right? The football program hasn't made a bowl game since the Obama administration. It's been a while around here. But, and this is going to make me sound like such a nerd, but when he got hired, I went and listened to an interview that he did on, like, the Nordy pod or something, like the guy from Nordstrom. And I remember listening to it that day thinking, and I told this to a couple of coworkers, I said, I think that he might give off a vibe that some fans find schmarmy, and I would say that that's been the case. So I think you have a lot of people that are in full support, and I think a lot of people are like, what's going on with this guy? He sure does like talking.
Well, Josh, we like to have fun with the fact that Dirt caught onto a message board by ranting against a school that he actually roots for and has family like in Nebraska going to all of these games, which is great. Do you think we're going to need a full season of actual games and then we build up these hatreds for each other in this newfound Big Ten B1G? Or do you think they're already in place with all of the crazy fans that exist in that conference, including Nebraska, which is a bunch of diehards?
Yeah, look, I think if Oregon comes in and wrecks shop in year one, which I think is very much on the table, because, a lot of people right now are like, they're not ready for the Big Ten. It's physical. And it's like, do you see who Oregon recruits? Do you watch how they play football? People think that this is still like the Dennis Dixon or Chip Kelly era Oregon Ducks, Mark Helfrich. So I think that the conference might be in for a rude awakening. I said something on my show last week, guys, that you look back all the way to Penn State joining the league, then Nebraska joining the league, obviously Maryland and Rutgers. And I don't know if there has ever been a team as equipped in conference realignment to join a league and really make fans of the current schools angrier as much as this Duck squad could, given what I think is on the table for him in 2024.
Look at that. Josh Peterson not showing up on any Oregon message boards today after this interview. I love it. We are 69.
This guy rocks. Can we hire him out in Oregon? I love this guy.
Bring him out to the West Coast, man. I think we're 69 days away from college football starting. Nice. And we cannot wait. Josh Peterson, at Josh Tweeterson on Twitter. You can also check out his podcast, chasing3hours.com.
Real quick, Josh, get you out of here. Does anybody in that state, or does anybody care about the NBA out there? I'm just curious where the finals registers for Nebraska sports fan.
No, I like talking about it. I also loathe the Celtics, so I'm like really hoping that things get crazy so I can continue to listen to the Bill Simmons podcast.
Yeah.
But no, it's like me and 5 other people, and then everyone says, could you shut up and stop talking about this? It's almost football season.
How's our depth look at linebacker this year? Let's go over that, please. Yeah. Josh Peterson, we always enjoy the time. Enjoy the College World Series, buddy. Thanks as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks, boys. Talk to you soon.
There you go. Josh Peterson from Omaha, Nebraska, getting ready to head into the old College World Series.
We met up with him for breakfast, as you had mentioned earlier, and it's really fun to swap stories of what's going on behind the scenes over there with stuff, and we were kind of talking about some of the stuff over here. I am very interested now suddenly in a football game I didn't think I'd care about. If those Cornhusker fans still think Oregon is Mark Helfrich,
yeah, bring it on, buddy.
Wow.
We don't get him in year one. I'm a little bummed by that.
It's going to be a massacre if that's what they think
They're
Oregon
not
is.
ready for Big Ten football. Yeah, Indiana's got me shaking in my boots. B1G. Northwestern, what are we going to do?
And my crappy NRA
Illinois, oh no.
It's cold, though.
It's cold.
It's cold, though.
We can't run the football. Maryland, how are we going to... Is Tua's brothers still there? Rutgers, oh, God.
Longer flights. Oh, no. It's going to be
on
hard to
private
find a
jets.
hotel to stay in. Oh, no.
PJ Fleck and his stupid tie rowing the boat. I'm so scared.
We're
gonna row the
Schiano.
boat. We're so scared of it
Iowa
all.
hasn't scored an offensive touchdown since the Eisenhower administration.
and they're not going to score.
Get the
They don't
hell
wanna.
out of here, Big Ten football.
My NRA joke stands, by the way. Yeah, 5 people know what the NBA Finals is and what's happening.
Touche to
More-
Schulte.
The whole thing is more people know about the NRA than the NBA.
I'm wondering your Cal Raleigh take's taking off right now, Schulte. We're
was
getting
pretty
tweets,
awful.
we're getting
It's okay.
comments, we're
It's
getting
all right.
a lot of
Let me-
thoughts
all
pouring
right.
in on Cal Raleigh.
One of the best catchers. He is top 5. He is top 5.
He's top 5? Poll question. I'll
Poll
put it up.
question. Yeah, put that one up. Is
Okay.
Cal Raleigh a top 5 catcher in Major League Baseball? The Daily Ticker brought to you by Pelican Brewing. Visit pelicanbrewing.com for more details on locations, events, award-winning beers, independently brewed since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach.